Realme has returned to the Romanian market with a new top phone. It was launched recently and is called GT2 Pro. In the past, we tested the GT model, a great-looking phone. It was top in performance and didn't cost much. Well, the GT model is back in the form of the GT2 Pro with a changed design, but with an equally big box. On the back, we find some of the phone's specifications. It has a 2K OLED screen, a new design that is called Paper Tech Master Design, and a Snapdragon Gen 1 processor. So this is the new iteration of Qualcomm's top-end processors. They are dropping the 800 iteration and moving to a more simplistic one. Another interesting aspect is that this phone comes with two 50-megapixel sensors. And even more interesting is the 3-megapixel camera that acts as a microscope and can magnify images up to 40 times. The phone also comes with 12 gigs of memory and 256 gigs for storage, and for connectivity it obviously comes with 5G. So this is the phone. As I mentioned, it has a new design. We can see first of all the look of the cameras, which has changed, and the back. We no longer have that yellow leather color with a black stripe next to the cameras. We have a look that leads more towards a phone. On the front we can see the screen that comes with a front camera on the left side and a fingerprint reader obviously under the screen. So everything top-notch about this phone. The screen also has a very interesting part, being on 120Hz AMOLED LEDs with 2K resolution that moves excellent, and its brightness reaches up to 1400 nits. So an extremely bright screen that will cope with any situation, especially when there is bright sun or we are in a place where the light is bright. You'll be able to easily distinguish colors and writing on the screen without having a reduction in contrast or not seeing anything on the screen. The phone comes from the factory with Android 12 and the Realme UI 3 interface, which moves along great. I saw no signs of lag, and a very interesting aspect. The memory, although it has 12 gigs available, can be expanded by another 7 gigs using expansion, which uses the memory for storage to put data that no longer fits. But you probably won't ever get to use this expansion. Coming back to the screen, it has a 6.7-inch diagonal with a Gorilla Glass Victus protection, meaning it should be scratch and drop resistant. It shouldn't shatter very easily. The performance, as I mentioned, is provided by the Snapdragon 800 Gen 1, the newest processor from Qualcomm manufactured on 4 nanometers. It has 8 cores, which are divided as follows: 1 core at 3 GHz, 3 cores at 2.5 GHz, and another 4 cores at 1.8 GHz. So the phone should be fast and handle any application for the next few years without any problems. And video processing is handled by an Adreno 730, which has to cope with any game. Coming back to the cameras, as I mentioned, there are two 50-megapixel sensors, the main one video, which has an aperture of 1.8 and 24 millimeters. The sensor has a diagonal of 1 by 1.56 inches. That is a very large, bright sensor, capable of taking very good pictures even in low light. In addition, the camera has night mode, which clearly improves pictures that are taken in low light. Then the second 50-megapixel sensor has been used for the ultra-wide camera, which has an aperture of 2.2, and the sensor diagonal is 1 by 2.76 inches. It's a little smaller than the main one, but it too does very well capturing enough light, and should be very okay even in low light shots. And the last sensor is the 3-megapixel one for the microscope camera, which can magnify images up to 40 times. I found this camera the most fun to see the world with new eyes, and it is even educational. You can look at different things like grains of salt or sugar or whatever. One very interesting aspect is that this phone comes on the back with 2 flashes that are activated and go on permanently when you use the microscope camera to be able to illuminate that surface, because the phone has to be held very close to the object. So the light that will naturally penetrate will be extremely low. The phone can shoot in 8K resolution at 24 frames per second. So you're already entering a new lead with this option, which until now was only available on expensive phones. Well, Realme bring the ones that have a lower budget, but are extremely high performing. The phone is currently about the best performing on the market when we talk about the processor, but is not bad on cameras or screen either. The design is also very good, so the phone shouldn't disappoint anyone. And let me also remind you that the screen is on 120 Hz, which is rare because most phones come with 60 Hz, and we still see various cases where they have 90 Hz. Therefore, we can consider it a gaming phone as well. Also, the phone's battery has a capacity of 5,000 milliamps and should last you a whole day without any problems. But obviously not when you are gaming because the 120Hz screen and processor. plus the brightness given and the full power of the CPU will drain this battery very quickly. But it comes with a 65-watt fast charger that can charge the full battery in 33 minutes. There are many people who are skeptical about this battery aspect. When charging fast, it can drop in current holding capacity in 6 months or a year, so the performance of the phone will drop. But the folks at Realme assure us that this aspect should not worry us, as they have conducted tests and the phone handles over a long period of time without any problems. The front camera has a resolution of 32 megapixels and doesn't take up much screen space, so it doesn't bother me at all. Although I would have preferred it to be weather drop style, not punch hole, and placed in the middle, but it's okay. It's placed right next to the status bar, next to the clock, and looks extremely nice. Overall, Realme GT2 Pro is an extremely capable phone that stands up well in every respect. So far, it has not disappointed me. The battery holds and the cameras are very good. The screen looks great even in a very brightly lit space. Plus, it also has HDR, which I forgot to mention, and another mode called GT, which boosts the performance of the processor, especially when gaming. So far, I haven't felt the need to use this mode, the processor being extremely high-performing and has coped brilliantly in every test. Hopefully in the future, Realme will release a foldable phone as well. So far, it's just rumors. Nothing official, but they will definitely launch something like this, as it is trending now, and when they do launch, it will probably be priced very well too.